Hello, greetings, and welcome to Stationeers with me, 54 Bear. And I am on my Europa base. This is where I'm doing a hard start, but that is not what this is. Previously, in a couple of episodes ago, at the time I'm recording this, I'd gone through putting up these logic chips. First batch to do the solar tracking, and the blue batch to monitor the weather station. The solar tracking obviously is tracking horizontal and vertical, and when the sun is not behind Jupiter or below the horizon, we're getting 99% efficiency on the solar panels, so that's all good. And as far as the weather station is concerned, I have a couple of flashing lights that are controlled by the batch writer, and also a countdown alarm, so that when a storm event is detected, we get a countdown in seconds as to how long it's going to be before it hits. So what I'm going to do in this series, or not series, but there will be multiple episodes, I think, like this. I'm calling it chips or MIPS. So there are times when chips are just easier and more convenient. There are times when IC coding or MIPS is the preferred way of doing it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover what the chips do, and if you want to do just a chip-based solution, that will work just fine. And then I will do the same thing but in MIPS, so I can pull all these down, because this is a very small base. You can see this is like my atmospherics and water processing just in that cube. There will be other things going in here as well. It's going to be super cramped, but that's just me and my style. So anyway, let us review what these chips do. So we have a logic reader. Obviously you can't see them from here, but there are a bunch of solar panels on the roof. I have a daylight sensor, that's down here. Daylight sensor can be mounted indoors, and the way I've got this set up is the 0 degree orientation on the daylight sensor matches the 0 degree rotation of the solar panels. So the horizontal does not require any manipulation. The vertical does, because 0 degrees on this thing is pointing directly upwards. So we need to do a minor manipulation of that value in order for the things to work, but it only uses the one solar sensor. So this logic reader is reading that daylight sensor, and it reads the horizontal value. And this shows you what that horizontal value is. And then we have a batch writer that is taking the output from that logic reader, outputting it to the solar panels, and outputting it to the horizontal variable. So those two things, or just those two chips, is all that's needed. Now if you're on Europa, the sun never gets super high. If you didn't want to do the math manipulation for the vertical, you could just preset or manually adjust the vertical angle of the solar panels to about 50 degrees, and you'll get pretty good results. However, if you want to get the most efficiency you can out of them, then you'll need these chips down here. The red ones are all the solar tracking, the blue is the weather network. So we have another logic reader. This one is still reading that same daylight sensor, but it reads the vertical. Then we have a math unit. The math unit takes whatever it sees here and here and applies this mathematical operation. So I've got it wired in such a way that the only thing that this can see on pin 1 is the logic memory. I've called it MEM90 because the value I've given it is 90, and it takes 90, subtracts from it the value of the logic reader that is reading the vertical angle. So now we see you get a value of 34 degrees, and that's how high up the sun is right now off the horizon. Then that value is read by the batch writer. It takes the logic math, which is this chip, outputs it to the solar panel, and outputs it to the vertical. So that is the entire thing for solar tracking. So if I go into, let me first of all grab my chip, put it in here, edit the thing, and I will pause it. I will also open Stationpedia, because the way I deal with these chips, especially when I'm running the chip in a filtration unit, is I don't bother assigning any of the pins. I just use the batch naming method. So I've got the day sensor already there, because this thing is dealing with the grow light and, well, base pressure and temperature as well. But what I want to do is add in the solar tracking. So I will need the hash number of the solar panels. So, right, so the one that I have is the solar panel dual. It's very important you select the right one, because they all have a unique prefab hash. So click on that, it copies it to the clipboard. Then I can say define, and I should just call them solars, and paste in that number. So now, using this solars label, I can access all of the solar panels on the roof. Okay, so to keep it simple, I will do it at the top. I'll give it a label just to keep it neat for myself. So this is the solar panel section. Give me a couple of lines. First thing I want to do is read from the day sensor, which is this one up here. So I'll use load batch, because we're using the batch variation method of doing things. So, and I'll load it into R0 from day sensor. The logic type is horizontal. And because it's a batch method, you basically end each line with average. There is a numeric version as well, like 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on what method. But my style is, I like to keep the code understandable for when I come and look at it when things go wrong. So we're loading in the vertical. What I want to do next is just literally output that value to the solar panels. So, whoops, not uppercase. Store batch. Now the device hash is solars. That's all case sensitive. Logic type will be horizontal. And the value will be what we just read in, R0. So that's it. That will do the solar tracking on the horizontal plane. Next, I need to do the same with the vertical. So same thing. Load batch. We can reuse R0 because, we've already done the operation we need to do here. Device hash day sensor. Now we're reading vertical, and again average. Now before we can write it here, we need to subtract 90 from it. So we use the sub command. We want the value to be stored in R0, and the value we want to store is 90 minus R0. Then we take that number and we just write it out to the vertical. So exactly the same as we did before, except not in caps. Just like that. So those lines of code replace all the chips that we have on the ceiling to do the solar tracking. So I'll confirm that. I'll export there. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me close this. So we take the chip out, put it in, make certain it's not showing any error messages, and now I can turn off all of these chips. And this one. And I'll put my suit on and my hat. And we'll head outside and make certain they're still tracking. In fact, I will remove this. Oh, obviously there was a bit of pressure in there. I shall have to address that. Alright, yeah, it won't be getting 90 or like the high efficiency because the sun is below 15 degrees. But you can see the solar panels are still tracking. Yeah, that I will leave open because that will hopefully remind me that I need to take care of that. But that's a problem for this game world, not for that. So, first episode of Chips or MIPS. A quick way of illustrating that you can do either option quite simply. The advantage of using chips is that they are a little more forgiving. You don't have to worry about typos as long as you select the right thing when you're using the screwdriver, or as long as you'll make certain you're selecting the right logic reader and the right logic math unit. If you're doing multiple things, then it will work and it will be quite simple and straightforward. The advantage of using chips is you save a lot of real estate. And in my case, I mean, I'm running the IC code on the filtration unit. I already needed the filtration unit. It needs to run, and it only uses 10 watts. An IC housing uses 50. These things use 10 each. So when you're really strapped for power, and especially in a base where there are multiple things that you're going to want to do, having stuff on IC code is a lot more power efficient. And it can be a lot quicker to do as well. Anyway, I hope you found that of value, interest. It wouldn't be particularly entertaining unless I blew it up in the end. But thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And stay tuned for more in the Chips and MIPS series. Take care. 54 Bear out.